In today's episode, Magdalena asks, what are your favorite tools to track data and which ones are you using on a daily basis? I am a huge fan of source data, so whenever APIs are available, I will use them. In fact, one of the criteria that I used to decide whether or not I want to work with a particular tool or vendor is what sort of data export do they have? Do they have the gold standard, which is CSV, comma separated value files? Do they have a JSON API? Do they have other forms of API, SOAP, XML, etc.? Do they have direct database access, where you can work directly with the back end? And the more data sources that a company has, and the more that they are open and available to work with, the more likely it is I'm going to use that tool, because one of the things I found with a lot of marketing tools is that they are intended for the layperson marketer, and they are not intended for the data-driven marketer who would need to manipulate the data in ways that might not be foreseen by the vendor. And so that's an important criteria for me. I am a big fan of source data, like I said, so let's take a look at some of the tools that I use on a daily basis and on what data they supply. In terms of social media monitoring, I use Brand24 because it is relatively comprehensive, especially on the social networks, less so on news and things and video, because those are much more difficult APIs to parse. But it does a great job, and I can spit out into Excel and CSV formats and things and get data right out of the platform. This is the source platform I use when I make influencer graphs, because I can just drop a keyword in, pull the data from an event that's occurring, something like that, and get really good insights from software that I wrote to process the data. A second one that I use a ton, more so now than ever, is CrowdTangle, which is a piece of software that was an independent company once, and then Facebook bought them, and it is, bar none, one of the best data sources for Facebook, for Instagram, for Twitter, and for Reddit. It can export data. Again, it spits out in very nice CSV formats. It also has an API. The CSV format is actually more robust than the API. The API is heavily throttled, but you can get data out of CrowdTangle that, frankly, you can't get anywhere else, including really good Instagram data. For owned media, media that are your digital properties, is there any other source than Google Analytics? Well, I'm sure that, for some companies there are, but for what I use and for what I recommend for clients, Google Analytics is the one source of truth for owned media properties, owned digital properties, where you can slap a tracking code on them. As part of that, of course, Google Tag Manager and the entire Google marketing platform is the tool set I use to track data there. For earned media, tracking the news specifically, I love Watson Discovery. Watson Discovery has a rolling 60-day window of news articles that are automatically tagged sentiment, concepts, hierarchies, and things. So it does a really good job of categorizing the news, and then you can go right into Watson Discovery and query the database and ask for very specific terms, builds queries and stuff. So it is a fantastic platform, very powerful, and for the first 1,000 queries every month, totally free. So if you are an earned media relations program professional, if you're a PR professional, this is definitely a data source that you should be using. It has a learning curve to it, but once you get the hang of it, you will find that its ability to do really good analysis of data is fantastic. The other one I use is called GDealt. GDealt is it's an actual nonprofit project powered by Google, and it provides you with a backend to Google's database of all the major news events that Google News sees. 300,000 stories a day. Like yesterday was the 12th when I'm recording this, so yesterday there were 302,892 news stories, which is just a phenomenal amount of news. But because it has a SQL interface, you can actually query the database as a data scientist or as a data analyst and get exactly what you want out of it in ways that you can't do with traditional Google News. And of course, you can then dump it to your own Google Cloud account and then export it to your own database for further analysis. But it's a fantastic source. For paid media, I of course use all of the different paid platforms like AdWords and StackAdapt and stuff that all have individual APIs and tools. And then for search and SEO, I use Ahrefs. The Ahrefs folks were kind enough to gift Marketing Over Coffee with a membership, so I've been aggressively using that to track and extract data. Some fantastic tools, good data export. So again, data export, so important. All of these platforms I use, all these tools I use are my data sources. And I can't explain this, emphasize that enough. It's an important distinction. Most of the analytics in these tools, in these platforms, they don't suit my needs. I am admittedly not a normal marketer. I'm not the average person just trying to figure out what to put in, this month's, slide deck that goes to the board. I am a data analyst, a data scientist in my day-to-day work at BrainTrust Insights. I do most of my analysis of data in R, the programming language, MySQL, the database, and Tableau, the visualization software. And then for reporting, particularly for clients, when practical, I try to use Google Data Studio only because it's an easily supported cloud environment for great reporting. But for me, for my criteria of what is a favorite tool, it has to have robust data export and it has to be in common, easy to work with formats. And the data's got to be good. The data's got to be clean and good and reputable. And that's another important distinction is all these tools, because you're very, very close to raw data, or in cases like BigQuery, it is absolutely raw data, you can validate that what you're getting is the real deal, is the good stuff. Same with CrowdTangle, for example, and Brand24. You're getting the individual pieces of data that you then have to go and summarize, but because you're getting the raw data, you can also look at it and go, okay, something's right or not right in it. And that is an important criteria as well for someone like me, where I need to be able to look at the raw data itself and validate, yep, this is good, or nope, this is not good, something's wrong. When you have a tool that just kind of summarizes everything in an easy to read chart, cool, but you can't decompose that chart and look inside and go, something here doesn't pass a sniff test. So, great question, Magdalena. As always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. If you want help with your company's data and analytics, visit BrainTrustInsights.com today and let us know how we can help you.